y'all could take this. Their defense was really locked in from the start. What did they do to really kind of force y'all out of your rhythm?
Just really being aggressive, not letting us complete the next pass. That's normally what their game plan is, and we kind of fed into that in the first quarter, but after that, I think we got in a better rhythm.
Megan, just how frustrating is tonight, given obviously your struggles against tough teams? How frustrating is it to fall short again?
I mean, it's very frustrating, when you have a game plan and we can't execute it.
How tough was the crowd tonight, and do you think that played an impact on starting slow that first quarter?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the attendance actually was, but they hold 18,000. It's probably the biggest arena we're going to play in. Their fans always come out full force, and they were loud. So at times it is hard to hear what's being said on the court. But that's when it's on us to make sure everybody else, like looking to the next person, make sure they're on the same page.
For Crystal, after the loss to Oregon, you mentioned, I think what you said was complete lack of toughness. I wonder if you see that still, or if that doesn't necessarily apply to this performance.
No, because it could have been easy to lay down after the first quarter. It was 11-2. Most kids, I think, around the country, if you see that you only put 2 points up on the board in one quarter, you kind of get a little demoralized, and we didn't do that. We fought back, so.
Megan, one of the things, it seems like South Carolina got every loose ball. I don't know how you see it out there, but how frustrating is it? Is it they were quicker, athletic, maybe not the effort that you guys could have given? How do you see it?
I just see it as they wanted it more than us. At times, like you said, they got the loose balls and they got the rebounds. We just didn't box out well enough and we weren't aggressive enough.
Crystal, you talked about, you guys kept fighting and you threatened to cut the lead down to single digits, like late in the second half. What kind of prevented you guys from taking more, off the lead?
I think there was a possession we gave up 3 offensive rebounds. We don't let that happen. We go down and score on 2 straight possessions. We cut it down to 8. We said before the game started that defensive and rebounding is how you win on the road, and rebounding, that's, I think, where we lost the battle tonight.
Crystal, you've played against a lot of good Gamecock teams. I just want to know, where does this one rank for you compared to the other ones you've played in the past?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, honestly. Can you rephrase it? I don't know what you mean.
Just the talent level.
I don't know. My freshman year, the whole starting 5 was the WNBA team, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
Megan, you guys actually did a decent job of holding South Carolina to only 18 points in the paint, but their threes, it just seemed like that was kind of uncharacteristic for them. Was that something that was more of a defensive breakdown on your end, or were they just making shots at the right time?
I would say a little bit of both. We wanted to limit the the points in the paint, and we wanted to close out on the ball, and they got open looks and they knocked it in. So.
Anything else for the players? All right, you guys can come ahead. We'll take questions from Coach now.
Geno, same thing. Their defense, really was locked in from the start. Just how much did that force y'all out of your rhythm and what you try to normally do?
Yeah, the first quarter, it just got a little too fast for us. It got sped up, and some some shots were maybe a little bit rushed. Some things were a little bit forced. Some were easy that didn't go in. But defensively, I thought they were really good, and they put a tremendous amount of pressure on on our perimeter game. I think they were obviously, they were not that much concerned with how much we would get inside, but they were really adamant about not giving us the threes that we normally get. So when we didn't make any in the first quarter, I think it just put us in a hole that we couldn't get out of.
People were asking before about kind of that toughness factor, whether or not you thought, or the players thought they were able to come out with that fight. Did you see
Yeah.
that in the last 3 quarters?
Yeah. I mean, we didn't we did not win the game because of that. And I have to say, before we go any further, we're allowed to lose a goddamn game once in a while where the other team plays better than us. So how about you write that somewhere? South Carolina played way better than Connecticut. That's allowed to happen once in a while. And it's not like, what did you guys do wrong? So, having said that, there's a couple possessions that that as we were moving, I think somebody was talking about it, that as we were moving towards, we had talked about let's get it in single digits by the middle of the fourth quarter or somewhere in that area. And I think we had a Kristen Williams kind of sort of breakaway that would have made it 10, and I think she shot an air ball at that particular point, and that would have made it 10, and then they came down and scored. And then there were, as Crystal said, there were 3 straight possessions where if we come up with those three balls, then we get a chance to put it in single digits. But we didn't. We didn't come up with those plays, and to their credit, they did. And then they made the shots to make that possession even worse for you. It's one thing if you don't come up with a ball or you don't get, a rebound or a loose ball, but then for them to take advantage of it, that's what good teams do, and that's what they did.
You talked about Crystal needing to play better in big games. What did you see from her tonight and how she kind of carried the team there?
Yeah, we're not able to win, these kind of games on with one person playing great, and Crystal did her part tonight, more than her part, and she shouldn't have to do that. We just didn't get enough from the rest of our team, but I was saying to somebody earlier today, when you come out and you play, past history has so much to do with how you perform. I mean, I'm not surprised that Crystal played pretty well down here. She's a senior, and she's been through a lot of these games, and she's played 40 minutes in these games, and she almost won the UCLA game single-handedly last year in the NCAA tournament. So she has a history of, I can do this, Nobody on this team has a history of being able to do that, in a big road game or in a game that means everything. So, if things don't go right early on or it kind of just, it's hard to right that ship. And as they get older and they get more experience, that'll change, obviously. But right now, we are where we are.
Geno, first, have you and Dawn agreed to extend this series maybe over the next couple of years or 4 years or so?
As far as I know, it's either in the works or it's been done or being done. So yeah, there's 2 more left. So there's 2 more left.
And also, just looking at South Carolina's offense, how hard is it to try to pick one to maybe concentrate on when all 5 of them can score it so well?
Well, they had kids make threes that hadn't made a 3 all year long. So, you come into the game and you go, a majority of their offense is transition baskets and second shots. So let's see if we can take those away and take our chances. and then they make all those threes at the start of the second half. That was kind of like a backbreaker there, because that's what we were planning to do. Let them have more of those and less of stuff in the lane and less stuff in transition. But that's what good teams do, you know? I mean, they're not number one in the country for no reason, you know? They don't have just one way to win games.
You've talked about the inexperience of these players and coming into this environment. What did you tell them after the first quarter to try and right that ship? At least just for the state of this game.
I mean, I don't care who you are. At some point, somebody's going to make a shot. You're not going to score 8 points for the game. So you go in and you say, we scored 2 the first quarter. So let's just keep doing what we do. Let's run our stuff. Let's get into some kind of rhythm. And we scored 21 in the second quarter. I mean, it was either that or how about we tell Dawn, listen, thanks for having us. Let's go home and let's end it at 11-2. I mean, we scored 2 points and we're down 9. Would have been any different if the score was 29-20 at the end of the first quarter? No, you're still down 9.
Obviously, you've talked a lot about your team's inexperience, having to rely on freshmen and sophomores, but South Carolina starting 3 freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
How, I guess, impressive to you is it? I know obviously their seniors turned up big too tonight, but
Yeah.
for them to be able to do what they're doing, relying on such youth.
Yeah, and their freshmen have played a huge role in their success so far this season. And there were times when their freshmen didn't play like freshmen at all. And both of our freshmen played like freshmen the entire game. But there were times when South Carolina's kids played like you would think, you know, they've played in a bunch of these games, and this was their first one, you know, of this magnitude. So, yeah, they're not one-dimensional, and they don't rely on just one individual. I mean, they get contributions from everybody, and those freshmen are really, really good, really good.
Geno, so you've played right now top 3 ranked teams in the country and lost those games. But over the next month, what do you guys have to focus on? I don't know if it's fair to say to get your confidence up, but to be ready to face those types of teams in the postseason.
You know, first things first. You know, we have a game Sunday against a pretty good South Florida team. You know, on the road. So we got a couple of days to get ready for that, and the rest of the season is pretty much the best teams in our league at this point. You know, when the postseason comes, the postseason will have its own challenges. That'll be a lot different than what they are right now. We got a lot better since last Monday. You know, so I hope and I imagine we'll be a lot better next Monday than we are today, and that's the goal. Just keep getting better and better until the NCAA tournament comes, and then you take your chances. Chances are you won't have to play the number 1, 2, and 3 teams in a row in the NCAA tournament. If you are, that means you're playing the last weekend. Close to it.
Coach, 18,000 people here tonight. That's more than the Pavilion and the XL Center. How much of an effect do you think the fans had on this game?
Not as much as their players. We've come down here when it was sold out and blown them out. So it's not about the fans, you know. I think it's the players you bring to the arena. And we've come down here before with the best players and the best team, and it wasn't even a game, ever. And today, we didn't bring the best team. So when you don't have that, the crowd does become a factor. So the crowd in and of itself, no. The crowd and who their players were and how they played and who our players are and how they played, yeah, you put all that together in one mix, not good. Not good. But we could have scored 2 points and there'd be nobody in the stands. With this team, who the hell knows?
I know you talk a lot about having to shoot the ball well to beat top teams.
Right.
70 tonight, and I think 74 against Baylor and Oregon. Other than shooting well, I mean, would you be satisfied with saying if you told you before the game they had 70, that you could win the game? And
Did you think we were going to hold them to 50 or 60?
I said 70.
70. Okay, so we held them to 70.
So how do you get from, other than shooting better, or what can you do to get from 52 to 56 to 58 to 70, 75 against the best
We're
teams?
not. Simple answer, we're not. We're not. We're going to get shots that we get. We're going to shoot the ball, and if it goes in, we'll get 70. If it doesn't go in, we'll get 52. It's not that complicated.
Were you happy with the shots you got, particularly
A lot after the first quarter, yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of good ones. There was a bunch we didn't take. That's the other thing. It drives me crazy why young players, after they miss a bunch of shots, refuse to shoot the ball. How the hell are you going to win the game without putting the ball in the basket? I mean, it's better to miss than not take that shot at all, isn't it? But young players don't understand that. Doesn't bother Crystal. She just keeps shooting whether it goes in or not because she's a senior. What's she going to do, save them for next year? These other guys, they miss a couple shots and they don't want to shoot the ball anymore. It's the weirdest thing.
Geno, you said to give the other teams credit here. The three top teams have beaten you in excess of 15 points. Are they just the three best teams in the country? And without, you have the victory over DePaul, it's kind of hard to know where you fit in from, like, say, 4 to 12 in the nation. Do you have a feel for where you are?
We were number one earlier this season, weren't we? Hard to believe, right? So who gives a shit what it is? Where you are, 4, 5, 12, 17, 25, who cares? The object is to get through the season and get into the NCAA tournament this year. Some years, the object is we're going to be a number one seed and we're going to win the whole thing. This year, the object is get through the season, get in the NCAA tournament, see what happens. This year, we're like every other team in the country. God forbid. Horror of horrors.